Every morning the world starts quietly, one soft light at a time. Homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Roof, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Holy moly, Adam Holroyd, you're the man. Okay, I'm back. I'm here now. All right. Adam, thank you so much. My computer was not on mute, but my actually hard microphone somehow got muted. So thank you so much. I feel silly. This is what happens when you go live. It is what happens when you go live. So we'll just start over because that's what you do. Sometimes you start over. But I'm not starting over. I'm building off of what I have done for the past 120 something days here at Kindness Rising. And I am always learning and growing and willing to say, oops, made a mistake, gonna move on. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, I was telling you about what we're going to talk about today, and I'll do it briefly again. I want to ask you to listen to a story about being an ant. Yes, I'm going to talk about being an ant, not an AUNT ant, an ANT ant, right? Absolutely. And then I also want to talk about the story of Tyler Chase. Tyler Chase has been in the news. He's a former Nickelodeon star that has had some struggles with addiction, and people have been following him in the streets, essentially. And it's emerged as quite a story as people have that's what I'm looking for, have sort of exploited him. We're going to talk a little bit about that and a kindness angle on that whole story. But first, I want to talk about balance. Think about balance. We think about balance as a finish line, as something you might achieve. Hello, Lawson Fowler. Hello, Jimmy. Welcome all. Of course, I want a $10,000 donation. Yes, of course I do. Well, let's make it 100 while you're at it. No, I'm just kidding. I do want a $10,000 donation. So, but that's not why I'm here. I am not here to make money. I'm here to help everyone who is here rise with a little bit of kindness, rise above the noise that's out there in the news, to have a little bit of hope in the morning and maybe a little bit of focus. And we're talking a little bit about balance and the fact that balance is not a destination. It's actually a practice, and the idea that we don't lose our balance all at once. We lose our balance, we come back, we lose our balance, we drift a little bit. One area of our life tightens up, another gets ignored, and then something that once gave us energy starts quietly draining it, not because we failed, but because we stayed busy instead of attentive to what really mattered. And that's why the middle of the week and the new year matters. It's not a chance to overhaul your life. It's not a chance to fix everything, just a chance to pause long enough to ask yourself something. What's out of tune right now, and what do I need to tune up? Welcome to Kindness Rising. I am glad that you have come to join me here on this glorious Wednesday morning. And I am going to get to the story of the ant for those of you who are sticking around here on the channel. Good morning, Roseanne Roof. Mother, good morning. It is nice to see you here. I'm talking about the ant. I mentioned it yesterday. And this is a video that I saw. It really struck me. It was delivered by Robert Reich. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with who Robert Reich is, the American economist, who's the U.S. Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton. And he's been a longtime professor of policy at Cal Berkeley. And he definitely has a political viewpoint. But whether you agree with Reich's Selena, your cat says hi. My cat says hi too. We have a cat here on the show. His name is Sensei Whiskers. He's on a little sabbatical, but he's going to be coming back, and maybe we'll reach into the archives and share a little Sensei Whiskers knowledge on the show here today. But anyway, I'm talking about Robert Reich, and this is not about politics. I'm not trying to talk about politics here on the show. I'm trying to actually rise above some of that, but I can still have a conversation and still think about things in that context. And what I really like about Robert Reich, and I like him as much for his style as for his politics. Honestly, he delivers his viewpoints and his message in a very digestible and a very calm way, and a very understandable way, thoughtful, considerate, understanding of where people are at. He brings research, brilliant man, regardless of whether you like his ideas about economy and politics. But the reason I bring this up is because he had a video recently that I saw, and it was actually a clip. He talked about a clip from the movie Ants. Do people know that movie, ANTZ, Ants, which was an animated film? I'm thinking in the early 2000s. I'm not even sure when it was from. But it was a lot about more than a kid's movie for sure. It definitely reviewed things like political structures and power. And one of the scenes, and the scene that he shared, is the grasshoppers, who are the elite, the powerful. They are trying to keep the ants in line, right? Shortly after one of the ants kind of stood up to one of the grasshoppers, the leader of the grasshoppers came out and was trying to figure out who that ant was, and the other grasshoppers are saying, "Who cares? It's only one ant." And the leader stands up and says, "Yeah, it might only be one ant, but what happens when it's 5,000 ants? We have to keep the ants in line." Cool football edit. I can shout you out. Good morning, cool football edit. Is that what you do? You edit cool footballs? I don't know. But I am glad you are here with us on Kindness Rising. There's your shout out. Anyway, this idea struck me about ants, yeah, of all things, right? And what I see in that movie, when I see that, is what I see as what we're doing right here at Kindness Rising, which is community and people joining together to have a more meaningful impact in the world, not from a single loud voice at the top, but from a bunch of smaller voices moving basically in the same direction and sharing the same values in the world. And what I love about that movie is when those ants are gathering together, they're not arguing about who's getting the credit. They don't wait for permission to gather and rise up a little bit. They don't pretend they can do it alone either. They know that each has a role, and they build and they carry and they show up together. And that's what we're doing here at Kindness Rising. We're not here to dominate a conversation. We're not trying to necessarily create a culture, but we are trying to be a community that rises with positivity, that works together, that lifts each other up, gets involved in the comments and communicates with each other, and aligning on shared values and purpose and care. And that's a balance that I think is worth protecting, not protecting, protecting. Anyway, that's the ant story. What vegetable is best to improve your marriage? All right, Steets, you are funny. Absolutely. I don't think I will forget that. It is a memorable experience. Never been there though. Anyway, uh, absolutely. Steets, where are you coming from? Cool football. Tell me a little bit about you too. And don't forget to come here every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to Kindness Rising for a little bit of hope, humanity, and heart, a little bit of fun, uh, making connections to things that we see and experience in the world to how we can improve our lives. We can add balance to our lives, balance in our perspectives, balance in our actions, balance in everything in our lives. It's all about balance and identifying it, self-awareness when we're out of balance. That's what we're rising with, that mindfulness between 7:30 and 8 a.m. every weekday morning. States, you're from Philly. How about me? I am from Binghamton, New York, not Buffalo. Not Buffalo. I'm not a Buffalo guy. I know Philly and Buffalo just had quite a jam this past weekend in the NFL. But no, I'm from Binghamton, New York, little town on upstate, uh, just north of the PA border. I'm very familiar with Philly too. All right. Anyway, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. You might hear a little crustiness. I'm woke up with a little sinus. It's been going around in my house. I do the sinus rinse. You guys do that? Anybody out there do a sinus rinse? The stuff you squirt it up your nose. It comes pouring out your face. It feels kind of gross, but then the relief is just amazing. Anybody? Neil Med sinus rinse. Highly recommend. And they're not even endorsing me, but I'm endorsing them because they make an impact when I'm feeling this way for sure. For sure. All right. Well, again, welcome to Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and heart. I'm glad to see all of you who have come here to hang out and stick around. And next, I'm going to move into our kindness spotlight. Usually, I talk about an organization or some kind of uh, nonprofit, social impact organization or concept that's moving community forward. I'm cleaning my glasses. Yes, live. There I am. Now I can see better. I hate the glare though. I got to get glare-free glasses. Anyway, breakfast of champions, crackers and peanut butter. I love it. Love it. But no, for real, my kindness spotlight today is not an organization. It's actually a person. The person I'm talking about actually has a tag on to this story. I know maybe some of you are following the Tyler Chase story. Tyler Chase from Ned's Declassified on Nickelodeon is now a full-grown adult and clearly struggling in his life, and people have found him in the streets, and some are helping, and some are exploiting. And it's become clear that it's become a social media sensation and people are finding him places and whatever. But there's a guy who's rising above that, just like we do on Kindness Rising. You may even know the guy that I'm talking about. His name is Shaun Weiss. Shaun Weiss, probably not a household name at this point, perhaps, but he was in the 90s. And of course, as I do this on Kindness Rising, I connect everything back to hockey when I can. You might remember him from the Mighty Ducks. He was the goalie. The goalie guy. They tied him to the post and fired pucks at him so he wouldn't be afraid in the Mighty Ducks version. And recently he's come to Tyler's side as a former child actor himself who has struggled and continues to work on his sobriety. And he basically, Sean has risen up as a voice of reason, uh, to ask people to not exploit this man and not help him, to give him some boundaries. And he actually came online and he was speaking to the papers and things about what they're actually doing to help Tyler. So Sean and some of Tyler's friends and some others were trying to get him into treatment, to get him to a place where he can get the help to get his life in order. Because clearly, when you see the things that you see with this guy, I'm not going to exploit him by putting him out there either, but you can find it if you want. And he's struggling in life. He's a guy right now who's clearly, I mean, it's commonly known he's meth addicted and living on the streets and being found places, and he's fragile and people are exploiting him. They're taking advantage of him, giving him, $5 for a selfie with him and stuff like that. And it's grotesque is what it is. It's not cool in my opinion. That's my take on it. I mean, the guy obviously is having some struggles. We don't exploit those people and we don't push them when they're down. And what Sean Weiss is doing is standing up and helping to create boundaries, and telling people, if you really want to help Tyler, if you really care about Tyler, you'll leave him alone. Give him some boundaries. Let the people who are trying to really help him and give him dignity. And I thought that was a pretty cool story. I think it's amazing when people rise up and show their true colors. Sean Weiss himself, like I said, struggled with his own addictions, and I think that gives him a lot of credibility in this story. He's clearly the same guy that Tyler, at one point in his life, he was clearly closely, or I don't know how deep he was, but I know that he's closely connected, and he recognized that in Tyler, and is trying to help him, and that's pretty cool stuff. Kindness, Frank Kaffa, very funny. Not the first time I have heard that one. No, I call Kindness Rising because we rise 7:30 a.m. regardless whatever else is rising at that time. We get up at 7:30 a.m. and we rise with kindness, with hope, humanity, with heart, with positivity, and community and growth together. That's what we do here on Kindness Rising between 7:30 and 8 a.m. every weekday morning. Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending your time. Where are you from? What you up to? Yep. And Sensei Whiskers, he's been out of touch for a little while. He's stepping away. And I was trying to find maybe a never mind. I was going to try to dive into the archives, and I'm like, I'm going to sit here and do this. I should have thought of it before it had something loaded up. A couple of people have mentioned that they've missed Sensei, which is nice to hear. It means that something is working here on Kindness Rising, and Sensei will be back in 2026 to interact with us, to be a friend of the show. So that's what we're doing here. All right. Welcome in again to Kindness Rising. Time is flying by here, and we are talking about, we're going to go back to our original topic. I'm a little all over the place today because my head is filled with mucus, and that's where I'm at. So anyway, doesn't matter because I'm still here. I'm still here with you. I'm still rising with kindness. Love to hear about where you're from. How are you finding balance as you head into the new year for 2026? I can't believe it's here, 2026. They just keep coming. But the thing is, tomorrow's going to come. Still going to be the same person unless we choose to act differently, unless we choose to give ourselves a little more focus and intention, right? With intention, acting with intention, and and having an idea of what we're trying to achieve. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is failure. Actually, failure. Uh, we'll get, and what it means to fail, and how you learn from failure, right? And how you define failure in your head, in your life. And I related to what I'm doing here. The uh, as a person who's trying to create something new and do something new for myself, I'm trying different things, seeing what works in terms of the stories that I carry forward here, in terms of the connections that I make, the way I interact with the community, how much of Sensei Whiskers I put into the show, what's working, what do people like. And I love feedback for that reason. I am so open to feedback. What do you like about the show? What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? Because I'm doing it for a community. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm never going to step away from my values and the pillars of our show of kindness, of balance, of action, of growth, self-awareness, curiosity. Those are the things we will always lean into. But let's do it as a community. Let's do it together. Austin Goldspink, welcome in. You're now part of the community too. What are you up to today? So that's what we're building here at Kindness Rising is that community. And I can come out and I can deliver my agenda and talk about my stuff, and I will. But I also want to know what you want to talk about, because I'm building a community at Kindness Rising, not just a show. Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hi, Austin. All right. So thinking about tuning, of course, tuning up, not uh not um the actual show itself, right? You get there before the show and you hear the band and you see the roadies and that kind of thing. Um they're plucking one string at a time, right? Because they don't just assume they're in tune. The travel knocks their things slightly off, the temperature change, whatever, the humidity shifts in the arena, in the on stage, whatever it is. And it's nothing dramatic usually, right? Those little tune-ups. I, people have come, excuse me, excuse me, I'm going to take a minute. People who've been coming here for a while know that I am a big fan of the Grateful Dead, and they were constant tinkerers, constant tuners. If you ever listen to one of their shows, they proudly announce it in between songs. We're tuning up. We want things to be, they say, just exactly perfect, but they do little tweaks, little tune-ups all the time. All right, Austin, celebrate New Year's on the stream. I'm not going to be here at midnight on the stream, but I am going to be here at 7:30 tomorrow morning. If anybody is thinking about getting up or still up, maybe you'll still be up at 7:30 tomorrow morning. I will be here regardless of what happens tonight. So, although that's an interesting concept, Austin, maybe I'll check out what other live streamers are doing to bring in the new year, maybe learn a little bit. Maybe I will hit the go live. I don't know. Now you're planting seeds in my head, Austin, and I think that's an interesting idea for sure, for sure. So thanks, Austin. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the sub, and watch the videos, and I hope they're helpful for people and interesting. And let's keep rolling for sure as we work towards finding balance. Absolutely. Heading into 2026, I plan to be here every day, 7:30 a.m. Eastern with you. And we were talking, I was talking about failure. That's right. Well, all over today, talking about failure. And I plan to fail in 2026. That's my big plan. What are you going to do in 2026, Matt? I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail miserably, repeatedly, and I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow, because I don't look at it as failure. I just look at it as learning. Okay, it's Bob Ross in action. No mistakes, only happy accidents. So I'm leaning heavily into that. I'm going to make tweaks. I'm going to make changes. I'm going to welcome every guests. I'm going to welcome people into the show. We're going to continue to make those tweaks as we go and get after it. And I plan to fail. And I plan to fail and fail and fail. And while I'm failing, I'm also going to be succeeding. So I don't consider it a fail. Like there's little things, right? Little things. I've been wearing the same two basically shirts. Like if I'm trying to make the show successful and attract people, I've been wearing the same two shirts for 6 months. I decided to put on a plaid shirt today. I don't know. People like my plaid shirt. Is it going to make a difference? That's the other part. You can make so many tweaks, and I am susceptible to this. You make so many tweaks that you can't figure out which is the one that's making the actual difference. That's a huge part of trying new things, is figuring out what to try differently and how long to give it a try to see if it's actually making an impact. You can easily make changes, thousands of changes, millions of changes every day. So that's where the smart and the people who have experience and they show up every day have the advantage. And that's what we do at Mornings in the Lab Network. That's what we do right here at Kindness Rising. Come check out the Mornings in the Lab Network. Get on over and see Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. They're picking up here at 8 o'clock following Kindness Rising on the Mornings in the Lab Network. We're building the world's greatest network of creators and collaborators and people. Yes, I love that, Mom. Roseanne Roof in the comments. Let's find a different word together than fail. You're right. Fail feels... We're taught that fail is a bad word. Maybe it's just changing our idea around fail, but maybe it's learn, right, Mom? I mean, we're going to learn together. That's how we learn, by making mistakes, right? Nobody does it perfect. You're supposed to suck when you start at something. All those things that we continue to focus on and talk about here on Kindness Rising and in our lives, and they talk about it. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. Do it as a community. I love it. Delph Zapata, welcome in. I am glad you're here as we are just winding down, but I promise I will be back here at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning if you subscribe to the channel and come visit and play and hang out with us on Kindness Rising. But before the show ends at 8 o'clock today, I always want to give our takeaways. That's something I've committed to. I continue to work on. I don't want to just come up here and yak, and I do like to yak, and I do like to work and talk to the community and learn about you and help, but I also want to give you something. It's my giving back, right? Giving something. So these are our focuses on balance for today. Your takeaways, the carry with you list. Remember that drift happens quietly. Pay attention to yourself. Are you drifting? Have you drifted? Have you drifted in the right direction? Are you going where you want to go? Right? Also, checking in is not failing. It's not maintenance. It's not a confession. It doesn't have to be a big deal, whether it's with yourself or with others. Just checking in with you, checking in with yourself, doing it thoughtfully and intentionally. Remember this: tension and neglect are both signals. Too much pressure and too little care both matter. So in other words, finding that balance, that middle point in between tension and neglect, that is where we get up and get after it. Austin Goldspeak, I am in the state of New York in the United States of America. United States of America. And that's where I'm at. Where are you coming from, Austin? Also remember that kindness includes boundaries. We talked about Sean Weiss. We talked about Tyler Chase and Sean. Presence without intrusion is still care. So you can give and you can give back. South Africa, nice. Afrikaans. Austin, you need to come back so we can talk about my experience with South Africa. I've never been to South Africa, but we had a South African exchange student live with my family for a full year. So that was kind of cool. I'd love to hear more about South Africa, Austin. Come back tomorrow morning. We're running out of time here. Doesn't matter because we're here on Kindness Rising. You can stick with me or you can get on over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. But I've got to get up and get after it and go get the rest of my day going too with action. So I hope everyone here has a wonderful, safe, happy, celebratory new year. Tomorrow's going to come and it's going to be 2026. But unless you take action and you make a little move every day, regardless of the date on the calendar, you're not going to get to where you want to go. So please don't start over. Just keep tuning up. Come back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, here on Kindness Rising. And until then, stay uncommon and stay kind. What if your mornings could be inspiring and ridiculously fun?
Kindness Rising isn't just a show, it's a full wake-up vibe.
It's freaking fun, people.
Yeah, man, it's got real get-after-it energy.
I love it.
Wake up with Kindness Rising.
I help purpose-driven people grow their impact. 5-ingredient recipe to help you build your personal brand. Get out there and take kind action.
If it's live, they'll feel it.
On Kindness Rising, we bring you proven strategies and fresh ideas you can actually use. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. Fail fast, rebound faster.
You'll see the bloopers and the genuine connections that make kindness contagious. We sometimes get into a little bit of trouble.
Pretty much my life made the list.
You can trust what you see right here is honest, respectful, and uplifting. Social impact organizations, and we always talk about them. Try kindness. It's way cheaper than therapy. You just made my day.